All right, so good morning, everybody. I'm doing the artist reflection for this painting here called Yuck Yum, and it's pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing really behind this photo, but I mean, there's nothing behind this painting that I did here. It's nothing subliminal, but the painting I did, yeah, the lighting is a little bit, let me see here what's going on with this lighting. It's very overcast today, so the lighting is a little shitty. But I had done this painting during Pride Month in June because I wanted to celebrate um, a little of my own pride and a little pride for a community out there that is shunned, ridiculed, and gets quite a bad rep. But this painting I did here, just for disclosure, I'm a queer person who is sex positive, and anybody who is of a coming from a patriarchy background who's very conservative, this is not the platform for you. So if you can respect other artists and respect other people, continue watching. So this painting I did it to pretty much celebrate the foot community. It's a very high saturated painting. Some people might kind of look at it as being a little bit taboo because of the subject, but I think we're in the era where people are kind of making fun, but they're also kind of adapting to the foot community. There's people making jokes about taking feet pictures for money. There's people, all kind of people, just because of how bad the economy is people are doing like the most ridiculous things for money, such as taking feet pictures and whatever. But I think that's as far as like the exposure to like the taboo of like the appreciation for the foot. And this painting I did here, I would like to emphasize not just the subject of the painting. I actually want to emphasize color theory. So if we kind of shy away, I'm going to shift the frame and perspective of what this painting. Some of you don't want to see this. Some of you think this should be like in the shadows or should not be shared on social media, but it's an open universe, and people exist out there. People that are harmless, people that don't hurt people, people that celebrate themselves. They exist out there. Accept it for what it is. Now, this painting here, I just want to emphasize color theory. But my example of color theory, I was actually trying to experiment with color theory for this painting here, because if you look at the color wheel, I don't know if I can put up the color wheel here on the video. I'll probably try to put it up here. The color wheel here, if you look at the different colors, and kind of find where orange is on the color wheel and diagonal the color that falls right beneath orange, the colors that are kind of like near where orange is. I tried to follow that order, but color theory, it's just never, it's never in perfect order. The color hues, they all blend together. And so I did a really high pigmented orange that's almost like not necessarily a maroon or a scarlet, but it's a really high saturated orange. And I did a light blue color. I did this light blue. I actually used Posca markers, the acrylic markers, and I used like a very light spring sky blue. And I thought the two would contrast with each other. Up here is a very subtle MY in the color pink. You can't really see the color pink because of the lighting, but it's very subtle because the words here are supposed to be the main focus, especially this word here, yuck, gross, disgusting. And I chose this color to be green. Green is fairly close to orange because it's right next to yellow on the color wheel. So this one, there's not too much color contrast going on. There is because of the saturation, but on the color wheel, green and orange are fairly close to contrast. Orange is closest to red, and green is its own color. The opposite of green is red. Green and red both they're like oil and vinegar. They separate from each other. Um, Orange and green are very contrasting from each other because orange is closest to red. Green and red are like oil and vinegar. They cut directly from each other, and I chose to use this font here in a bright yellow to stand out because obviously it's a statement for the painting I'm putting here. But I also chose for the model in this painting, this fictional character, his eyes. This was an idea from my partner. My partner suggested this idea because he's also an artist and he has a very wonderful vision. Is the hypnosis going on in the subject's eyes. And I also chose the yellow because there's so much emphasis going on the statement here and the color saturation. When you look into the model's eyes, I don't necessarily want the model and the painting to be focused in on like, this is, just an average guy. Like, this is somebody who is crazy and just goes into euphoria for something that they love, for something that really hits them and something that they really enjoy doing. And the eyes, they're obviously going into hypnosis, engaging in an extracurricular activity that really speaks to them, that they really enjoy. And although, many of you probably want to emphasize like what the painting actually is, I'm shifting the narrative on color theory because I experimented a lot with the colors of this painting versus just making it a realistic painting of the subject I chose to do it for. This also falls under the category of projects that I really struggled with finishing before my diagnosis with ADHD and before my abilities to manage my ADHD and my progress around my life and utilizing an agenda. So this also sat in storage with just the orange background. In fact, it sat for so long that the orange began to crackle and peel off. So I had to sand this canvas down and reapply the orange paint, and it sat for a little bit longer. And one day I stepped outside of my house and decided to take this painting with me and experiment outside of my vortex, outside of my home, away from my comfort zone. And I really tried to step outside my comfort zone and paint something that was very realistic and very personal. So this is my review for Yuck Yum, and I finished it this year in 2026, and it will be available. I don't know, I actually haven't set up a website or anything, but it's probably going to sit on my walls for as long as I'll keep it until somebody finds interest in wanting to purchase it, or maybe I'll submit it into a gallery. I'm fairly new to putting myself out there in the art realm. I don't understand how art galleries work, and submitting your artwork works as well. So I'm in a very experimental phase right now in my life, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with putting myself out there, experimenting and learning and starting over. I'd like to say that I'm starting over as an artist, and for the longest time I was crawling, and I'm allowing myself to walk now. So y'all have a good old day. So that concludes my video. So that concludes this review, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. And if there's something out there you really like and you enjoy, something that's a little taboo, I encourage you to keep doing it and do it again and again and again, and go explore something else you really like, because this universe is this government is really trying to push us inside of a box and be as plain and neutral as possible. So put some color in your life, and just include more color in your life, and include more things that just stand out from the norms. Continue to be authentic and continue to be yourself. There might be opinionated people out there, and they're everywhere. So are the assholes. So this concludes my video. I'm gonna conclude this video, and I encourage everybody to explore with color. Explore with color theory. If you're an artist, definitely invest your time and study the color wheel, and look at some books that further dabble into color theory, colors that contrast with each other, colors that blend in together. And there's a few books I have on color theory that I really enjoy, and I'll share them with you. Okay. So a book that I enjoy about color theory is this book. Just look at it up close, okay? I'm not going to read the artist or anything, but here's the book, and it kind of goes over different theories of colors. And a lot of times this is what I refer to when I'm pairing colors together. It has indexes in the book. So for example, calm. We're going to look at colors that produce the calm effect. They're a little bit pigmented, and then they kind of desaturate a little bit. If I look at colors that are, for example, soft. Peaches are soft. Peach fuzz. You look at things that are soft. Another book I like is this Color Harmony book. It is the Goodwill sticker on it. I got it from Goodwill. But this is a book from the 80s that was introducing color theory as early as the 80s. And it goes over some stuff in here. Kind of similar. It has different color palettes and swatches that I really enjoy. And there's this other one. It's a more modern book as well. Palette Perfect. And if I just go ahead and flip through the pages here. So the subject is delicate. Delicate as a butterfly. But they also share the CMYK code for the color codes of this image right here that produces, that is supposed to provoke the emotion of something that is delicate. But also, if you think of delicate, you think of something that's calm, serene, soft, and a little something that a lot of you like is romance. Romantic colors. Things that kind of play around with romance and love and maybe fertility, who knows, retro. This is a fun book I enjoy as well that has to do with color theory. So I gave it a shot. I played around with color theory, and I encourage everyone else to pay closer attention to color theory and don't be afraid of using really high pigmented colors. I think that, you know, this era that we're living in right now where everything's neutral toned and taupe and, you know, these butthole colors, choose something that's high pigmented like blue, orange, purple, turquoise, chartreuse. All right, I'm going to end the video now.